What's going on, guys? Today, Stab is bringing you my draft recap. So, ladies, friends, Trevor and Forrest, sit back and enjoy the little breakdown here. Originally, I did have a big thing planned out about kind of what my draft was, and I was gonna have like pictures popping up and calculations and all this shit. But then I looked at my boy Leo, 6 foot hacks, elbows to show up, and I decided to do more of what he did and just had the Pokemons pop up right about here, and yeah, we'll go through them. So, if you guys didn't know how the NPL draft works, usually well, actually new this year, we decided to draft our megas first. Personally, I like it a lot better because it's a lot easier to build a team when you already know what your mega is. And so basically what happened about the mega is going into the draft. In fact, that's what I'll do first. My two plans going into the draft were one, I want to get Mega Altaria. I love Mega Altaria to death. I've done several showdown lives with it. I've used it a lot. I know what it's capable of, and I really, I don't know if there's enough really to describe how badly I want to make a core between that and Magnezone, just because that's a very valuable partner for Mega Altaria. But what actually happened was I got to the draft. Of course, nobody seemed to know when the draft was actually going to start. But by the time I got there, Razor and his dumbass had already taken Mega Altaria, so that's one other point. Don't worry, guys. I had a backup. My backup was to get Mega Medicham just because it has two forms of priority and Fake Out and Bullet Punch, and it's very strong physically, and it's really easy to build around, or at least I think so. But Cheese Boy took that one too. So at that point, I got people messaging me, get to the draft, it's your turn to choose. And when I figured out my backup plan and the original choice that I wanted to get are both gone, kind of threw me for a loop as far as I didn't know what Mega to pick. I think Mega Lopunny was still on the board, and I was kind of considering that. But Toad, Mr. Togavar of the Portland Timbers, was like, come on, you gotta pick your bot. It's your turn right now. So, in honor of Toad and his rushing of me, we re-signed Mr. Mega Heracross. Now, Mega Heracross is my second favorite Mega ever. It's very versatile. It can do quite a few things. Focus Punch, Sub, it has very good coverage moves, and it has Skill Link, which in my opinion is one of the best abilities that it could possibly have. And it gets Swords Dance too to boost its already sky-high attack. Mega Heracross is really good. It breaks through stall, and if you guys know me, you know I hate stall. So that would end up being a pretty good choice for me, and I'm excited to use it again. We got through the mega round, and then like a couple days later, we decided to do the real draft. And new this year as well was that each team will have a franchise pick. And what a franchise pick is, it's basically a 3-year Pokemon, but you have to keep it for at least 3 years, like a normal 3-year contract. But you do have the option of getting it for as long as you want. Hence a franchise pick. There were several powerful franchise picks. I think the one that sticks out in my mind is like Mr. Trevor Forrest of the Atlanta Braveries actually got a Victini, and that kind of really influenced my pick of my own franchise mon, and also that I didn't have really good success as far as choosing a wall/bulky Pokemon in previous seasons of the NPL. But I did go with Heatran. Heatran pretty much shuts down Victini. The defensive variant, of course, can handle at least one Earth Power from well, not Earth Power, but Hidden Power Ground from Victini. And Heatran is really versatile overall. It can run a special defensive set. It can run a physically defensive set. You can go with a sub-toxic variant. You can go with a choice specs life 4. Well, I guess you can do life 4, but I've never actually seen one of those. But it's the NPL. Anything can happen. So Heatran is just really versatile Pokemon. I like that a lot, and it also complemented Mega Heracross really well, just because it's obviously immune to fire and it can switch into fire attacks. Latios is another big problem for Heracross, and it can take that pretty well. And also, one of the megas in my division is actually a Charizard X, so at least on the fire side, we can kind of deal with that. My second pick is kind of the one I regret the most. In the second round, I planned to get Weavile. In fact, I even had a chance to get Weavile because I was, I think, 1 or 2 picks before when it actually got drafted. And after I got my Mega Heracross, I talked to my team advisor, Mr. Joey, Mr. Poke, and the Doctor. You guys probably know him. And I thought that Sand and Mega Heracross would be a really cool team not strategy, but yeah, a really cool team structure, especially starting at Heatran, which was pretty good asset, like I already explained. But in order to get that, I would have to get a the sand, the Excadrill, because of my buddy Excadrill, and a Hippo. Well, what actually happened was in the franchise round, I believe it was the franchise round, Mr. Razor, again sniping the hell out of my team, picked up Excadrill. So sand went out the window basically. So in the second round, I had a chance to get Weavile. Weavile's a pretty good thing, especially since Latios and some other psychics are very prevalent. At least they end up being that way in this draft. But I did want to get a Weavile. And what actually happened was I had a chance to get Weavile, like I already said. I have a tendency to repeat myself a lot. But all these rapid spinners and all these defoggers started going off the board. Now, in vintage stab mode, I made a stab-like decision and thought, oh shit, I better grab a rapid spinner before they all go away. So I grabbed Tentacruel. I drafted Tentacruel way too high because not only would it probably still went on the board, but hell, I could have gotten Hitmontop if I really needed some sort of hazard removal, and that would have been there way down in the draft. So instead of picking up Weavile, that actually went next right after me, or 2 picks after me, I got Tentacruel here. Tentacruel is decent, I guess. It does get haze to stop set of sweepers. It gets toxic, spikes, and it's a rapid spinner. So definitely a good defensive mon, but I would have rather had Weavile. Now, this is technically round 4, I think, but in round 4, I knew right away what I wanted to get, and that was a grass type because last year I had Shaman, and Shaman was pretty decent, but that was actually before the release of Contrary Superior. Now, Superior is not only a very powerful grass type offensively, but it also checks both of the megas in my division, which are, of course, Mega Blastoise, owned by the Trevenant Forest and the Atlanta Braveries, and then also Mega Charizard X. Charizard X, I'm pretty sure can kill me if it's at +1 with Dragon Claw, but it can also hit it with Dragon Pulse and do a pretty solid amount of damage. So the next round, I figured I'd bring back another former Sacred Fire star in Jirachi, but somebody made the call to go ahead and draft without Ashley, and the coach of the Detroit Pinchers, and go ahead and draft without her, and then when she come back and make our picks, you had potential to lose your pick, but I mean, we just have to go on without her. Basically, is what I'm saying. Anyway, I drafted Jirachi. Jirachi's a very solid mon, and can help my team out a lot, especially since Michael of the Green Bay Palkias actually drafted a Mega Aerodactyl, which that points out on my team, and I needed something to deal with that, and Starved Ironhead is a pretty good option. But Ashley, who drafted before me in that case, actually decided that she went Jirachi instead, so I lost out on that pick. I did pick up Metagross, and Metagross is pretty good as far as it does give me a Stealth Rocker, gives me a potential sweeper with Rock Polish, gives me a hard-hitting set with Choice Band, gets Bullet Punch, it gets Zen Headbutt, it gets Grass Knot, it gets a lot of good moves, and it does do a similar thing to Jirachi, except it is outsped by Mega Aerodactyl, which kind of sucks. Unless I run like Scarf Metagross, that would be weird. But it also gets dual screens, that's another good thing. Next was another. This was more of a legitimate snipe than a I'm sorry, but I want this instead kind of deal. And that's getting Crawdaunt. Now, in this slot, my plan was to pick Hydreigon. At this point, I really like the fact that I could get a Dragon type, and I could get a Dark Pokemon to kind of deal with some of the Psychics that were being taken, and I also could get priority and a very powerful knockoff. So that definitely seemed like not a knockoff, but a Dark Pulse. I ended up getting a knockoff, but unfortunately, Michael, literally the pick before I was supposed to pick Hydreigon, stole it from me. So I got Crawdaunt instead, and I believe at this point Cresselia was also drafted, and Cresselia is a bitch to deal with in this format. So I needed something that could fire off a powerful knockoff and potentially OHKO it, or possibly knock off its item and then kill the Aqua Jet. So I picked up Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt is not a bad mod, but it is pretty slow, so that was something I was worried about. The next round, We're getting kind of the Yu-Gi-Oh Pokemons, and I needed a solid Scarfer. I already had Heracross as a fighting type, but I know that Scarfer was my shell is not a big deal to psychics other than like Alakazam that are usually Focus Sash. And my shell is also my favorite Pokemon. Reckless High Jump Kick does a shit ton of damage. It gets Drain Punch, it gets Knock Off, it gets U-Turn for utility, and things like that. But yeah, I went for Mind Shell. Mind Shell is a pretty solid Pokemon. Like I said, it gets good utility moves, and it's a very reliable Scarf Pokemon. Now, in round, it says round 9 on this. It says column row 9 or column 9 or whatever on this, but it was really round 8, 7, something like that. But I was looking for a Pokemon to draft. I was at this point. I was looking for at this round. I was just looking for a solid Pokemon to draft, and I'm looking through the draft board because I think Toad made a big draft board for us to use where it had all the Pokemon listed, and then we originally wanted to go with a point system. You know, that's OU would be worth a certain amount, EU would be another, and you'd have so many points to spend. But we didn't end up doing that, but we still have the draft board available for it. So looking at the draft board, I'm looking at the draft picks, and I'm thinking, wow, a bulky Pokemon that's pretty physically defensive would be a great thing to have here. And I still don't have a Dragon type. That was the other thing. I didn't have a Dragon type. Dragon types are obviously very useful, and I really wanted something to be able to take advantage of that Dragon typing. And then I'm looking at the big board. I'm not seeing it. I'm looking at the draft pick. Nobody's taken it yet. So I was just like, guys, has anybody taken draft? Has anybody taken Garchomp? Now, this was my steal of the draft, I think. That this Garchomp was still there. Garchomp is just great. Current the classic choice scarf. It could be bulky. You know, the Rocky helmet gets Endure, which is really cool. And yeah, so I was very happy. This was probably my best pick of the draft right here. Round 10, Round 10, I need a flying type, and at this point, it was between Honchkrow and Staraptor and Talonflame. I think Talonflame might have already been drafted at this point, and I did have Talonflame last year, but I'm looking at my team, and I decided that I was kind of slightly weak to fighting at this point, and I really didn't want, even though Moxie Sucker Punch would be a really cool asset to my team, I didn't want another Pokemon that was going to take a hell of a lot of damage from Conkeldurr, which was also another option at the same route I drafted Garchomp. Unfortunately, Conkeldurr went before I could pick it, so that's why Garchomp was also been a pretty powerful choice. But as I was saying, I did end up going with Staraptor. Staraptor gets a lot of cool things. It gets double edge. It gets close combat. It's very powerful. Another powerful Scarfer. It gets Brave Bird. Brave Bird is obviously one of the best moves in the game, and it does have Reckless and Intimidate. Even if I want to use a more physically defensive variant, so that's kind of cool. Round 11. Now, if you guys know the lore of the NPL, you'll know that Season 1, I wanted to run Mega Heracross and Sticky Web, so I took Shuckle in like the 5th round to be able to get a Sticky Web. Well, this time, I waited. I waited a long time, and not only did I get my Sticky Webber, I got something that's more viable offensively as well. I did pick up a Galvantula. Galvantula is pretty fast. It gets decent moves, gets Sticky Web, and it also gives me an electric typing, something that I didn't have up until this point. So that's very good for me as well. In my last pick in the 12th round, um, I kind of looked at what other people had taken. I looked at, and I realized I didn't have a fairy type, and I really didn't have anything to deal with like an Azumarill or just fairy types in general. And I figured another knockoffer would be pretty good. Something that could set up like the Swords Dance or other moves like that would be also very good. And then something to pursuit. So a pursuit trap was what I was looking for here. I believe Crawdon gets pursuit, but Crawdon is also really frail and not very fast, so it's not the best pursuit trapper. But luckily, I was able to find a Drapion, and Drapion fills both these roles. It gets Poison Jab for those fairies. It gets pursuit, and can set up. And I think it might get some other cool utility moves that I haven't actually looked at yet. So Drapion should be actually a pretty cool thing to use this season. Anyway, that is my draft. guess in the comments you can tell me what your favorite draft pick of mine was, what you think of my team overall. If you're looking forward to the NPL, and what do you think how far I might do this season. Please don't put 10-0. Last time somebody said that we were going to go 10-0, we won like 1 or 2 games. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But anyway, guys, I'm Stab. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and leave a like. If you have not been to the channel before, you can check out the rest, and you can subscribe to join the Sacred Fire on their journey this season. Anyway, guys, I am out.